So what does performance TV mean for Comcast? Well, firstly, and probably most simply, it means that we deliver outcomes for a marketer. I think it's that simple. And ultimately, if you're a marketer, you want to look at what is your return on ad spend for any given dollar you spend. And we believe that performance is delivered by TV, and it always has been. But the challenge is it hasn't been proven on an always-on, scalable, business as usual manner. And that's the opportunity at hand, not just, I'd say, for Comcast Advertising, but for the whole premium video ecosystem. And our belief is that if we're able to demonstrate it on that always-on basis, and not just at top of funnel, but all the way through the funnel, then marketers are going to be able to see TV in its true performative light. And I think it's going to enable the industry to go on offense, whereby right now a lot of dollars are moving into other areas such as social video, which is great, but I think there's an over allocation of dollars to those that are closer to the bottom of the funnel. And that's the opportunity that we're focused on.
So how is Comcast Advertising addressing issues of access, activation, attribution across all different screens?
Well, I think there's two things we're focused on: is make it simple and prove that it works. So that's the framing. And what we announced at the NewFronts this morning, which is actually our first ever NewFront for the media team, is a new solution called Outcomes Plus. And really, that's the wrapper around what you just talked about. The first thing is access. We have incredible supply relationships across premium publishers and streaming platforms. And we added to that this morning with our announcement with Amazon Ads, where our local sales teams are going to be able to bring the Prime Video inventory into the inventory that we already have, and bring that access to those local advertisers. So the number one is, how do we bring and simplify a one-stop shop for scaled access to the good stuff? The second around activation is we're announcing two things at the NewFronts. One is a new audience discovery engine, and the second is a proposal assistant. Those are just tools, but the intent of those tools is to how do we bring the best of where AI is right now to how proposals get built, how audiences are discovered. And really the secret there is not the tool itself, but it is the foundation that those are built on. And that's built on our data foundation of over 30 million broadband households. We're the number one in the country with our broadband relationships. And so the ability to therefore use these AI-powered tools to be able to discover audiences that are underexposed to an ad, as an example, and then build those proposals against those audiences is the sort of middle foundation. And then the back end, which is around attribution or proving that it works, is what we announced at the NewFronts, are the suite of partnerships that we have with third-party attribution companies. We had MasterCard on stage with us this morning. And the thing that's really exciting for me goes back to the original question around performance, and that is we know that premium video works. We know it delivers, and our MasterCard partnership is proving that it's delivering at bottom of funnel in terms of sales outcomes. And so that's super exciting, I think, for ourselves, but also for the industry.
Talk to me a little bit about AI's impact on advertising.
So our view on where we are with AI and advertising is sort of two things. One is I'm convinced it's going to be transformational in terms of how the media supply chain works, how buyers and sellers execute with each other, and how honestly it's going to act as a tailwind for big media companies in terms of being able to deploy capabilities that ultimately do the two things we said at the beginning. One is simplify the buying experience. And by doing that, you're going to bring a lot of advertisers who've built their businesses on social video into the ecosystem. You have to make it simple. And that's something we're doing with another initiative, Universal Ads. And then the second is being able to prove performance. So I see AI as both transformational, but also a tailwind. That's the first thing. The second thing is I think it's too early to know what that is going to look like at any level of specificity. So it is going to be transformational. What the impact's going to be, where, to which companies, and all those sort of second and third order questions is really, really early days. So what matters, therefore, is how to be leaned in, not just from a product standpoint, but honestly, as executives and leaders across the industry, making sure we're rolling our sleeves up, getting our hands dirty, understanding the fundamentals of the technology, spending time building agents, and making sure we're getting as native as possible, because it is coming and it's going to be transformational. I think a good example within Comcast Advertising, where we're leaning in on the product side is, I believe last week, FreeWheel, which is part of the Comcast Advertising portfolio, announced the release of our MCP server infrastructure, which really in English means that we're sort of opening up our APIs on the FreeWheel stack to enable third parties to develop and build on FreeWheel. And one example is that's the work we're doing with PMG, the agency. And there it's like, how do we enable buyer and seller agents to be able to interact with each other? And how do we enable PMG's agents to work with FreeWheel in a way that gives them the intelligence they need to make better decisions for their clients? So again, super early days, but we're leaning in. We're going to be aggressive in terms of putting things out there to test the art of the possible, and we'll sort of figure it out from there.